Some people don't ask because they need help. They ask to see how much of you they can take. Have you ever noticed that the more you give, the less you're respected? This is one of the hardest truths to accept, especially if you're kind, capable, and reliable. Society teaches you that saying yes makes you good, generous, and strong. But Stoic philosophy teaches something colder and far more honest. Not everything that is asked of you should be given. Marcus Aurelius warned that if you're not careful, other people's priorities will quietly replace your own. Not through force, not through cruelty, but through polite requests, emotional pressure, and subtle guilt. Some requests are not innocent. They are tests of your boundaries, your self-respect, and your sense of worth. Second, the danger is this. Every time you give what should have been protected, you train people how to treat you. Today, we'll break down 5 things you should never give people, even if they ask nicely. Because boundaries are not selfish. They are the foundation of a calm, disciplined, and unbreakable life. 1. Never give them your time on demand. Time is not just hours on a clock. Time is your life in its rawest form. Every minute you give away is a minute you will never recover, and yet this is the first thing people feel entitled to ask for. Not aggressively, not rudely, but casually, politely, as if your time exists by default for their needs. Can you hop on a quick call? Just one small favor. It'll only take a minute. These requests rarely sound dangerous. In fact, they sound reasonable. And that's exactly why they work. In modern life, especially in work, family, and social circles, people test boundaries through time. They don't start by asking for big sacrifices. They start by interrupting you, by assuming availability, by normalizing access. Over time, your schedule stops being yours. You become reactive instead of deliberate. And from a Stoic perspective, this is not a productivity issue. It's a self-respect issue. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should not allow your mind to be pulled in every direction by external demands. What he understood, and what most people miss, is that whoever controls your time eventually controls your focus, your energy, and your priorities. When you give your time on demand, you silently teach others that your life is flexible, but theirs is fixed. That their urgency matters more than your intention. That you are always adjustable. This is how resentment is born. You begin to feel drained, distracted, and behind in your own life, yet you can't explain why. On the surface, you're just helping. Underneath, you're slowly abandoning your own goals to maintain other people's comfort. A Stoic does not confuse kindness with availability. And being disciplined with your time does not make you selfish. It makes you sovereign. The Stoics believe that your primary duty is to live according to reason, not according to interruptions. If something pulls you away from what truly matters, it deserves scrutiny, even if it comes wrapped in politeness. The key is not aggression, it is pause. Before you respond, stop, breathe. Ask yourself one quiet question. Is this aligned with how I choose to live today? If the answer is no, you are not required to justify yourself. You don't owe long explanations. You don't owe emotional cushioning. You don't owe guilt-driven yeses. A simple, calm boundary is enough. I can't right now. That doesn't work for me. I'll get back to you later. Notice something important. People who respect you will adjust. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will resist. That resistance is information. Stoicism teaches that not everything external deserves a response. Some things deserve distance. When you stop being instantly available, you don't lose good relationships. You expose unhealthy ones. There is a quiet power in choosing when and how you give your time. It signals that your life has direction, that your days are not open territory, that you are not drifting. And this is where the real shift happens. When you protect your time, you reclaim your attention. When you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your agency. And when you reclaim your agency, you stop living at the mercy of other people's expectations. Remember this: busy is not the problem. Lack of boundaries is. Your time is not a favor you owe the world, and it is a resource you invest according to your values. Give it deliberately, or others will spend it for you. 2. Never give them emotional labor for free. Not all exhaustion comes from work. Some of it comes from carrying emotions that were never yours to hold. Emotional labor is one of the most invisible things people take from you. There is no formal request, no clear transaction. It happens quietly, through long conversations, repeated venting, and emotional dependence disguised as closeness. They don't ask, "Can I unload my emotional weight onto you?" They say, "Can I talk for a second? I just need someone who understands." You're the only one I can tell this to. At first, it feels like trust, like intimacy, like being needed. But over time, a pattern emerges. They talk, you listen, they release, you absorb. And when it's your turn to speak, the space is gone. And Stoicism draws a clear line here. You are responsible for your own inner state. You are not responsible for managing the emotional chaos of others. That doesn't mean indifference, it means discernment. The Stoics believed that what repeatedly enters the mind shapes the character. If you constantly allow other people's anxiety, anger, and confusion to flood your inner world, you slowly lose clarity. Your peace erodes, not because you are weak, but because you have no filter. This is where many strong, capable people get trapped. They mistake emotional endurance for virtue. They believe being there for everyone is proof of moral strength. But in reality, unbounded emotional availability often comes from avoidance. Avoiding saying no, avoiding discomfort, avoiding the fear of being seen as cold or uncaring. Seneca warned that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. What he implied is just as important. We also suffer by proximity. By listening to the same unresolved problems again and again, you begin to live inside someone else's mental loop. And loops don't move forward. Pay attention to these signs. You feel drained after talking to them, not lighter. They rarely ask how you are, and when they do, they don't stay long. Their problems never evolve, never resolve, never transform into action. They feel better after talking to you. You feel worse. This is not connection. This is extraction. Stoicism teaches control of input as much as control of reaction. Just as you guard what you eat to protect your body, you must guard what you listen to in order to protect your mind. You're allowed to limit emotional access. Means you can listen without absorbing. You can care without carrying. You can support without sacrificing your stability. The Stoic response is not dramatic confrontation. It is measured adjustment, shorter conversations, clear limits, redirecting responsibility back to them. Instead of fixing, you pause. Instead of rescuing, you reflect. Instead of absorbing, you return the weight. Sometimes that means saying, "I'm not in the right space for this right now." Sometimes it means changing the subject. Sometimes it means stepping back entirely. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Those who rely on your emotional labor will often resist your boundaries, not because they're evil, but because your availability has become part of their coping system. When you change, the system breaks, and that discomfort is not your fault. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Emotional labor for free hands that power away. It invites outside turbulence to dictate your inner weather. Stoicism does not demand that you harden your heart. It asks that you fortify it. Compassion without structure leads to burnout. Empathy without limits leads to self-erasure. Your calm, your clarity, your emotional steadiness, these are not infinite resources. They are the result of discipline. And discipline requires boundaries. If someone truly respects you, they will adapt when you protect your energy. If they disappear when you stop carrying them, they were never standing beside you to begin with. Remember this line because it matters. You are not responsible for regulating emotions that others refuse to manage themselves. Offer presence, not absorption. Offer perspective, not sacrifice. Offer care, not collapse. Because compassion that costs you your peace is not virtue, it is self-betrayal. 3. Never give them access to your decisions. There is a subtle difference between asking out of concern and asking out of control. And if you're not paying attention, you will miss it. Some people don't want to help you decide. They want to be part of the decision because influence feels like power. It usually starts softly. Are you sure that's a good idea? I'm just worried about you. If it were me, I'd do it differently. On the surface, these sound harmless, even caring, but over time, the questions don't stop. They follow every choice you make. Your career, your relationships, your lifestyle, your pace of life. Slowly, your decisions become group discussions, and without realizing it, you start seeking permission instead of clarity. Stoicism draws a hard line here. Other people do not live with the consequences of your choices. None you do. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that no one else could think, choose, or act on his behalf. This was not arrogance, it was responsibility. A Stoic understands that delegating your decisions, even emotionally, is a form of self-abandonment. When you give people access to your decisions, you give them access to your direction, and direction defines a life. Many people ask questions not to understand you, but to steer you, sometimes toward what makes them comfortable, sometimes toward what confirms their worldview, sometimes toward what keeps you close, predictable, and manageable. This is why unsolicited advice is rarely neutral. It often comes wrapped in concern, but underneath is discomfort with your autonomy. Notice the pattern. They question you more when you grow. They worry more when you change. They advise more when your path doesn't resemble theirs. That's not guidance. That's friction with your independence. Stoicism teaches that clarity comes from within through reasoned reflection, not from external consensus. Seeking endless validation weakens judgment. It trains you to doubt yourself before you act and to explain yourself after. And explanation is a trap. The more you explain your decisions, the more you invite debate. The more you invite debate, the more you shift authority away from yourself. Eventually, you're no longer deciding, you're defending. A Stoic does not defend his life choices in court. This does not mean rejecting all advice. It means choosing who gets access. There is a difference between counsel and commentary. Counsel comes from those who understand your values, respect your agency, and accept your final say. Commentary comes from those who feel entitled to an opinion simply because they are present. One strengthens you, the other dilutes you. Epictetus taught that if you want to improve, you must be willing to appear foolish in the eyes of others. What he meant is this: when you stop needing approval, you stop shaping your life around reactions. This is where many people struggle. They confuse peace with agreement. They confuse harmony with compliance. They confuse advice with authority. The Stoic response is calm, not confrontational. You don't argue, you don't persuade, you don't overshare, you answer briefly. You decide privately, you move forward quietly. I've thought it through. This works for me. I'm comfortable with my choice. No debate, no defense. Watch what happens next. Those who respect you will accept your boundary, even if they disagree. Those who relied on your openness to influence will push harder. That push reveals motive. Giving people access to your decisions teaches them that your life is negotiable. Taking that access back restores gravity to your choices. It signals that your path is not a public project. Stoicism is not about isolation. It is about authorship. You can listen without obeying. You can consider without conceding. You can hear without handing over the wheel. Here is the truth most people learn too late. Once you let others shape your decisions, you also let them shape your regrets, and they will not carry those regrets with you. Your life is not a committee decision. It is a personal responsibility. Guard your choices the way you guard your time and energy. Not because you are superior, but because you are accountable. Advice becomes control when it is forced. Autonomy becomes strength when it is protected. Choose carefully who gets a vote. And remember, the final decision is always yours. 4. Never give them your silence in the face of disrespect. Silence can be powerful, but silence can also be permission. Many people misunderstand this Stoic idea. They hear that Stoics value calm, restraint, and emotional control, and they translate that into enduring everything quietly. They believe staying silent makes them mature, unbothered, above the noise. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The difference lies in choice. There is a dangerous kind of silence that has nothing to do with wisdom. It is the silence born from fear. Fear of conflict, fear of being disliked, fear of making things awkward. And when silence comes from fear, it doesn't preserve dignity. It erodes it. Disrespect rarely arrives loudly. It shows up as jokes that go a little too far, comments that subtly diminish you, sarcasm disguised as humor, passive-aggressive remarks that leave you questioning whether you imagined it. And because it's subtle, you hesitate. You tell yourself, it's not worth it. Maybe they didn't mean it. I'll just let it slide. That hesitation is the opening. Stoicism does not teach submission. It teaches self-command. Marcus Aurelius spoke often about maintaining inner calm, but he never advocated allowing your character to be chipped away for the sake of comfort. Here is the hard truth. When you stay silent in the face of repeated disrespect, you're not keeping the peace. You're teaching people how to treat you. Disrespect thrives on ambiguity. When nothing is said, the other person fills in the blank. They assume acceptance, or weakness, or indifference. Rarely do they assume restraint. And once a line is crossed without consequence, it is crossed again. This is where many disciplined, thoughtful people struggle the most. They are not reactive by nature. They don't want drama. They don't want to stoop to that level. So they endure, and endure, and endure, until endurance turns into quiet resentment. Stoicism warns against this internal corrosion. Anger held inward does not disappear. It hardens. It distorts judgment. It turns calm into bitterness. The Stoic solution is not explosive confrontation. It is measured clarity. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to insult. You don't need to win. You need to name the behavior, calmly, briefly, without emotion. That comment wasn't necessary. I don't appreciate being spoken to that way. Let's keep this respectful. That's it. No lecture, no explanation, no emotional charge. This kind of response does something powerful. It removes confusion. It draws a clear line between what is acceptable and what is not. And it forces the other person to confront their behavior instead of hiding behind tone or humor. Epictetus taught that we cannot control how others act, but we can control what we tolerate. Tolerance is a choice, and when tolerance becomes habitual in the face of disrespect, it becomes self-neglect. There is also an important distinction to make. Silence chosen from strength is strategic. Silence chosen from fear is costly. A Stoic may choose silence when engagement would only fuel chaos, when the other person seeks reaction, attention, or escalation. In those moments, silence is withdrawal of energy. But when silence allows disrespect to repeat, silence is no longer strategy. It is surrender. And surrender always has a price. Pay attention to how people respond when you calmly assert a boundary. Those with self-awareness will adjust. Those with respect will apologize. Those who relied on your silence will resist, deflect, or mock. That reaction tells you everything. Stoicism is not about being liked. It is about living in alignment with reason and self-respect. And self-respect requires action when lines are crossed. This does not make you aggressive. It makes you grounded. You're allowed to be calm and firm at the same time. You're allowed to be composed and clear. You're allowed to protect your dignity without emotional chaos. Remember this: peace that depends on self-erasure is not peace. It is avoidance. True inner calm comes from knowing that you will stand up for yourself when it matters, without losing control, without losing character. Silence is powerful only when it is chosen. When it is forced, it becomes weakness. Do not confuse endurance with virtue. Do not confuse politeness with self-respect. Speak when a boundary is crossed. Step back when the pattern continues, and walk away when respect is no longer present. Because silence should never cost you your dignity. And a Stoic never trades self-respect for temporary comfort. 5. Never give them unlimited. Second chances. Forgiveness is often praised as strength, but unlimited forgiveness is often misunderstood as virtue. Stoicism makes a careful distinction here, one that many people ignore to their own detriment. To forgive is human. To keep exposing yourself to the same harm is not noble. It is negligent. Some people don't change because they are forgiven. They repeat because they are allowed. It usually sounds sincere at first. I didn't mean it. I promise it won't happen again. I was just going through a hard time. And because you are reasonable, empathetic, and fair, you give them another chance, then another, then another, each time believing this will be the moment things improve. But improvement never comes, only repetition. Stoicism teaches a simple but uncomfortable truth. Character is revealed through patterns, not promises. Words are easy, apologies are easy. Change is not. Marcus Aurelius warned against expecting people to act against their nature, not out of cynicism, but out of clarity. When someone shows you who they are consistently, the Stoic response is not hope. It is adjustment. Unlimited second chance quietly destroys self-respect. Each time you excuse the same behavior, you send a message, not just to them, but to yourself. You tell yourself that your boundaries are flexible, that your pain is negotiable. That consistency matters less than intention, and over time, something shifts inside you. You become hesitant, you become guarded, you become smaller around them. Not because they are powerful, but because you are constantly bracing for disappointment. Stoicism is not cruel. It is precise. It does not demand revenge. It does not demand punishment. It demands realism. A Stoic does not cut people off at the first mistake. But a Stoic also does not confuse mercy with blindness. There is a point where patience stops being wisdom and starts being self-harm. Here is the critical question Stoicism asks. Has the behavior changed, or has the apology simply become more polished? Look closely. Do their actions align with their words? Do they take responsibility without deflection? Do they make measurable adjustments over time? Or do they reset the cycle? Harm, apology, relief, repeat. That cycle is not accidental. It is a system that only works if you keep participating. Seneca wrote that we suffer more often than necessary because we fail to learn from experience. In the context of relationships, that suffering comes from ignoring evidence in favor of hope. Hope feels generous. Distance feels cold. But Stoicism reminds us that distance can be an act of self-respect. Forgiveness does not require continued access. Understanding does not require continued exposure. You can release resentment without reopening the door. This is where many people struggle. They believe walking away makes them harsh, unforgiving, or morally inferior. But Stoicism rejects this emotional blackmail. Your duty is not to preserve every connection. Your duty is to preserve your character and peace. The Stoic response to repeated harm is not anger. It is withdrawal, quiet, calm, final, no announcements, no dramatic exits, no long explanations, just distance. Distance is not punishment, it is protection. When you stop giving unlimited chances, something powerful happens. You regain stability, you regain clarity, you regain the ability to trust yourself again. And you stop living in anticipation of disappointment. Pay attention to how people respond when chances end. Those who truly valued you will reflect. Those who relied on your tolerance will accuse. Those who benefited from your forgiveness will panic. None of those reactions require a response. Stoicism teaches that you are not responsible for how others feel about your boundaries. You're responsible for maintaining them. Unlimited chances teach people that consequences are optional. Limited access teaches people that respect is required. And here is the final truth, one that is difficult, but freeing. Some people only learn when access is removed. Some people never learn at all. In both cases, your role is the same. Step back. You're not obligated to stay in situations that repeatedly violate your values. You're not obligated to sacrifice peace for history. And you are not obligated to keep reopening wounds to prove you are kind. Kindness without discernment is not virtue. It is vulnerability without armor. Stoicism does not harden you, it sharpens you. Forgive once, observe carefully. And if the pattern continues, choose distance without guilt. Because the most self-respecting response is sometimes the quietest one. And distance, when chosen deliberately, is not abandonment. It is wisdom. Today, we've walked through 5 things you should never give people, even when they ask politely. Not your time on demand, not your emotional labor for free, not control over your decisions, not silence in the face of disrespect, and not unlimited second chances. These are not rules to make you cold. They are principles meant to make you clear. Stoicism was never about isolating yourself from others. It was about refusing to abandon yourself in order to be accepted. When you protect these 5 areas, you don't lose your humanity. You reclaim your authority. You stop living reactively. You stop negotiating your worth. And you start moving through life with calm, deliberate strength. Now comes the most important part. Practice. Choose just one boundary from this video and apply it this week. Pause before you say yes. Shorten a conversation that drains you. Decide without explaining. Speak once when a line is crossed, or step back from a pattern that has already shown you the truth. Small actions, done consistently, change how people treat you, and more importantly, how you treat yourself. If this video resonated with you, take a moment to reflect and comment one line below. I choose self-respect. It's a commitment, not just a sentence.